Hello. Welcome to Classic Rock Facts. I'm RJ. This is the channel where we celebrate the music and culture of the 60s, 70s, and 80s. If you love classic rock like me, please subscribe and check out our ever-growing library of classic rock facts. We also have a series of shorts called Behind the Shirt, where we check out some very cool one-of-a-kind concert shirts. Today's episode of Classic Rock Facts was suggested by my daughter, and it's a good one. How does someone go from standing in the spotlight in front of 80,000 adoring fans to simply being the guy next to you at Whole Foods, looking for spices? Today we will discuss the king of arena rock, otherwise known as Steve Perry. Steve Perry's story is one of the most unique in rock history. It is also one of the most inspirational. It's a story of a man who gave up fame and fortune to follow his own path. He chose the importance of family, friends, and well-being over recording contracts, touring, and being in a band. Any rock music fan who was around in the late 70s through the 80s knows Journey music. For me personally, it was the soundtrack of my youth. You could jam La Do Day with your buds through those 6x9 coaxial speakers, and then lovin', touchin', squeezin' with your sweetheart. How many of us danced to Faithfully at our proms? Long before Radius Clauses, they played 10 times in 90 days in my area alone in 1979. That would never happen nowadays. Aside from the band playing everywhere, they would also take the time to visit local radio stations, sign autographs at the local record store, or in my case, play a softball game for charity which fans could attend. Journey had a huge following in the area of Michigan I grew up in. Even though we will be talking about Steve Perry, each current and former member of Journey is equally talented. From George Tickner to Arnel Pineda, Journey was always a group effort. Neil Schon will go down in rock history as one of the greatest guitarists and songwriters of our time. But let's leave that story for another time. Let's get back to Steve. Steve Perry's ascent to become the king of arena rock is legendary. He was born in Hanford, California in 1949. His father was also a singer and in the radio business. Steve was exposed to all types of music and grew up truly enjoying the art of singing. He often cites hearing the song Cupid by Sam Cooke at age 12 as the moment he knew he wanted to be a singer. In his early 20s, Steve started a band named Ice in Sacramento. After Ice broke up, Steve joined a prog rock band called Pisces. That band lasted a year before it disbanded. Afterward, he formed the band Alien Project. The bassist of the band was killed in an auto accident. Steve was devastated and decided to finally give up the dream of being a singer in a band. While this was happening, back in San Francisco, the band Journey was having problems with its lead singer Robert Fleischman. Journey's manager contacted Steve after hearing the Alien Project demo tape. He invited Steve to come on tour with Journey under the guise of being the cousin of a roadie. That way Robert Fleischman would not be alarmed. During a soundcheck, while Robert was not present, Steve performed one song with the band. That was all it took. Afterward, Journey's manager informed the band that Steve Perry was replacing Robert Fleischman as lead singer in Journey. Steve Perry made his public debut as the new lead singer of Journey on October 28, 1977 in San Francisco. It would not be until January 1978, when the album Infinity was released, that Steve would be accepted by Journey fans. Of the 10 songs on Infinity, Steve Perry co-wrote 8 of them. The songs Anytime and Wheel in the Sky were co-written by Robert Fleischman. Here is a short clip of Journey with Robert Fleischman performing Anytime in 1977.
Ooh, anytime that you want me. Ooh, anytime that you need me.
Journey's first tour with Steve Perry began in January of 1978, supporting the album Infinity. A notable opening act in March and April was Van Halen. Steve remembered that Van Halen would, quote, blow them off the stage. He also said it made Journey play better trying to keep up with Van Halen. As you can see by this chart showing album sales, Journey's top 7 albums are the ones with Steve Perry. The top-selling album being Escape, released in 1981. This is the album that created album-oriented rock, or power pop, or power ballads. This superb album contains the iconic Don't Stop Believin'. Listening to the song in 1981, Michiganders were confused by the born and raised in South Detroit lyric. The area south of Detroit is actually Canada. Even the most popular game console at that time, the Atari 2600 video system, had a game called Journey Escape.
Data Age presents the world's first rock video game, Journey Escape. The concert's over. Now you must help each member of Journey escape through mobs of love-crazed groupies, shifty-eyed promoters,
I can get you the forest.
and spooky photographers.
Please, I said no pitch. Move.
Find your roadies and manager,
You've got 10 minutes.
and run for the escape vehicle, and live to rock another day. Journey Escape for the Atari 2600 from Data Age.
The rock and roll machine that was Journey chugged on. Albums were recorded and released, and world tours took place. Journey would often play major rock festivals in the U.S. After finishing the Frontiers Tour in 1983, the band took time off to work on solo projects. Steve recorded and released his first solo album, Street Talk. Foolish Heart and Strung Out are great songs off that album. Journey finally reconvened in 1985 to record their 9th album, Raised on Radio. Steve was now the producer. He fired longtime bass player Ross Valerie and drummer Steve Smith. Sadly, his mother also passed away while recording this album. Bass guitar duties were handled by future American Idol judge Randy Jackson. Drums were taken over by Mike Baird. Here is a clip of Randy Jackson at work in the band. Journey's Raised on Radio tour went from August 1986 through February of 1987, with 74 concerts. February 1, 1987 was the last full concert for Journey with Steve Perry. After walking off the stage at Sullivan Arena in Anchorage, Alaska, Steve told the band, "I can't do this anymore. I just don't want to be in the band anymore. I want to get out, I want to stop." Steve Perry had achieved all of his wildest dreams, and now he was tapping out. He was 38 years old. The band immediately went on hiatus. Steve went on long motorcycle rides, worked on his solo music. 4 years later, he reunited with bandmates Neil Schon and Jonathan Cain for 2 songs at the tribute for Bill Graham, a legendary music promoter who had been killed in a helicopter accident.
It was New Year's Eve in 1973 when these gentlemen first took the stage at Winterland. A big San Francisco welcome, please, for Journey.
Good afternoon, San Francisco! Neil Schon on my left. Jonathan Cain on my right. Highway run into the midnight sun. Wheels go round and round. You're on my mind.
November 3, 1991 would be the final time Steve Perry has ever performed on stage with Journey. Steve released his second solo album, For the Love of Strange Medicine, in 1994. And then finally, in 1996, the members of Journey reunited to record Trial by Fire. Ross Valory and Steve Smith were back. Greg Rowley was asked but declined. Steve wanted to see if the spark was still there. The album was successful and a world tour was planned for the summer of 1997. While preparing for the tour, Steve injured his hip, which caused the tour to be postponed. After a year and a half, Steve still wasn't ready to tour. He was given an ultimatum by the band. Get a hip replacement and go on tour or we will replace you. Steve Perry responded to his Journey bandmates by officially announcing he was leaving Journey permanently. Within the last few years, Steve discussed his decision to leave the band all those years ago.
It was really your heart, not your head.
It was my heart. It kind of became a group decision, major surgery, and I wasn't very happy about that. So I chose to put it off and decide when to do it, and they checked out some other singers, and we went our separate ways.
Went our separate ways.
So what has Steve done since he left Journey? To me, this is the interesting part. First off, Steve revealed that he had been contacted by Eddie Van Halen back in 1985 about possibly replacing David Lee Roth. After several conversations and offers to jam, Steve declined and Van Halen moved on to Sammy Hagar. At the same time, the band decided to find a replacement and go on tour. In 1998, Journey toured for the first time with Perry sound-alike Steve Augeri. A sticker on the album had to say they had a new singer, and Steve Perry received 50% tour income. Steve Augeri lasted 8 years, from 1998 until 2006. In 2005, Journey was awarded a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Steve Perry showed up as well as former vocalist Robert Fleischman. Another interesting classic rock fact is the legal and financial wrangling the band and Steve Perry have endured since documents were first signed in 1986. Neil Schon, Jonathan Cain, and Steve Perry and their manager Herbie Herbert created Nightmare Productions. The four own the Journey name and trademark. That contract was amended in 1997 when Steve Perry officially left the band. Here is what it said. Cain and Schon own the name and trademark until they both stopped performing as Journey. Steve Perry received 50% of the first tour income without him. That amount is currently at 12.5% of album, tour, and merchandise income. Polestar reports in 2024 Journey played 27 shows with a gross of $3,292,000 for each show. Steve Perry still owns all the music publishing rights to the songs he co-wrote. Neil Schon and Jonathan Cain both sold all of their music publishing rights and master royalties to Hypnosis Investments in 2019. This legally means the current Journey band, Neil Schon and Jonathan Cain, must ask Hypnosis and Steve Perry for permission on certain catalog aspects. How ironic that the band member who left almost 30 years ago wields the most power. Recently, in a vote, Steve sided with Steve Smith, Ross Valory, and Herbie Herbert to elect Smith as Nightmare Productions' new president. This subverted a hostile takeover from Neil Schon and Jonathan Cain. Here's another classic rock fact. Who do you think is the wealthiest member of Journey? That would be Mr. Steve Perry. With his annual combination of Journey touring and merchandise revenue, his recent record deal with Dark Horse, his numerous real estate investments in the 80s, and being the only member of Journey that still owns his music publishing and royalties. His song Don't Stop Believin' became the second song to ever reach 1 billion streams, the first being Bohemian Rhapsody. Steve Perry is currently worth approximately $100 million. What else has Steve Perry been up to? Well, he is definitely not a recluse. He raised a daughter and is now a grandfather. He showed up unannounced at an Eels concert in 2014 and sang Open Arms. He goes to San Francisco Giants games and leads the crowd in a sing-along. In 2017, he joined his former bandmates on stage when they were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Steve did not perform with Journey, however, he did meet Journey's current singer Arnel Pineda and gave him a big hug and thanked him during his speech. In 2011, he began a relationship with Kelly Nash, who died of cancer 1 year later. He completed and released his third solo album Traces in 2018. In 2023, he sang backing vocals on Dolly Parton's album Rockstar. He recently re-recorded the Journey hit Faithfully with Willie Nelson. And he recently auctioned off lyrics, memorabilia, and his old gear for Gilead House, which supports single mothers and children. Journey will be heading out on its farewell tour called the Final Frontier Tour from February through July. Neil Schon said this about Steve Perry showing up. "I would welcome him, and I'm sure everybody else would too. If he wanted to just walk on and say hi, this would be the tour to do it, or if he wanted to come on and sing anything, or if he just wanted to be a part of it, period." As to what will Neil Schon do after Journey? A post on X last year revealed a possible clue. As Journey embark on their Final Frontier Tour, a few things have happened. In the run-up to the first date on February 28th, in Pennsylvania, Jonathan Cain made it clear that this tour will be his last one. He is 75 years old. And as we learned from the legal documents, Journey as band cannot exist without Jonathan Cain in it. Neil Schon, who is 72, appears to desire to continue on with other musicians. He did offer an olive branch to Steve Perry before the tour started by posting an open door for Steve to come on stage at any city and any time. Even if he only wants to give a wave to the fans. He doesn't even have to sing. Steve responded within a week to shoot down any idea of fans expecting a reunion on stage at any point. It was a very professional way to say, "No thank you." I applaud Steve's resiliency. He has never given in to singing in a jukebox band. Also, I look at it like this. If you were married in 1980 for a few years and then had a painful divorce and moved on with your life and people kept saying, "You should get back with your ex-wife and pretend it's 1980 again," would you have any reason to? Either way, hats off to a man who did and continues to do what he wants to do, and doesn't let anyone tell him any different. Lastly, in 2024 Steve signed a new record deal with George Harrison's label, Dark Horse Records. Label president Danny Harrison welcomed Steve with open arms. Steve released a statement in October of 2024 saying, "I am so pleased to announce that I have just signed with George Harrison's label, Dark Horse Records. I've so much music in me that has yet to be heard. To be able to work with a team of people who support and respect my creative expressions is a dream come true. I hope you enjoyed our trip into the life of one of the greatest rock voices in history. I'm just thankful I got to enjoy it. Thanks for watching."